With your eldest daughter,
Yeah.
at 4 years old, she was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
This, that is every parent's worst nightmare. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, like with anything like that, it came from completely left of field. Obviously, no one wakes up one day and expects to hear that their 4-year-old has cancer. It was, I mean, she had a lump on her neck and we kept watching the lump. And of course I took her to the doctor the day that we found the lump and they said, no dramas at all. It's just glands, kids' glands go up and down all the time. We kept watching it for a few months and then one day I was like, this is not right. I mean, even though everyone's saying don't stress, it's nothing, I was like, this is not right. Something is telling me this is not right. And we found ourselves at the Children's Hospital and I'll never forget, my husband called me because he took her that day I was working and he said, I'm freaking out. I'm on the oncology level. They've sent me up here. I don't know what to do. You need to get here. No one's talking to me, but I'm in the cancer wards right now and I don't know why they've got me here. And anyway, they got a surgeon in to get an opinion on the lump and I was there by then and he just ran his finger over it and said, you know what I have to say, this has to come out. We have to have it out tomorrow. You're going to have to biopsy it. This is not good. So she went in and had it biopsied and everyone was freaking out. My parents were freaking out. My in-laws were freaking out, obviously. And we were assigned an oncologist even before we got the biopsy results.
Because they knew straight away, did they?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they guessed. And then how it really happened was we tried to get onto the oncologist. She was at a conference and she actually called and it was a Friday afternoon and she left a voicemail for my husband saying it is cancer. And he just called me from the car and I was at the office and we both, I mean, what do? I mean, you just go completely numb and...
It would have been a total out-of-body experience.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was. I remember being in the city at my office and I'm the class clown, I'm the joker, I'm the larrikin of the office, so I'm always doing stupid things. And I remember my husband pulled up near the office and we had a chat about what we were going to do. I remember walking back out of body back to the office and I saw two of my girls who work with me across the road and I stopped and and they were laughing at me because I must have just been standing there completely out of it and they were sort of having a joke with me and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I couldn't kind of talk and I burst into tears and at that very moment a girlfriend who worked in the building next door kind of picked me up and went, what is going on? And the three of us went upstairs into this room and I said, Mila has cancer, she has cancer. And they were all just, they were so great. Like I was a mess, I just kind of lost it and they said, okay, don't go upstairs to the office, I'll get your bag. And they just got into this incredible kind of doing mode and got me out of there and back into the car with Ro. And I went and picked her up from childcare and just put her in the car. And it's the weirdest experience when you look at your gorgeous little girl, who, blonde, like she's a picture of health. I mean, you just can't reconcile that anything could be going wrong. And yeah, I mean, that was a really intense time. It was hard on the family. Obviously, it was hard on us, but it was really hard to watch my mum and dad and my in-laws go through it as well. They felt even more helpless than what we did. And she was the first grandchild on both sides, so it's always going to be a bit special. Yeah. And we had to go in for a consultation with the oncologist the next day, and we kind of thought that it might just be some surgery to remove the lump. I mean, we were fairly naive, I suppose, but we learnt that day that she would have to undergo chemo, and it just sort of thrust us into this life of, oral chemo. Giving oral chemo to a 4-year-old is an impossible task. I mean, even to get your kid to take vitamin C tablet can be challenging. Yeah. So we had many months of chasing her around the...
and also she would know, did it make her feel physically sick as
well?
well?
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget the first night we came home from the hospital and they said the drugs will likely make her very nauseous. They gave us anti-nausea But I was in bed and I'll never forget, she came into our room and she said, "Mummy, I'm throwing up, Mummy, I'm throwing up, I'm throwing up." And she had already thrown up it all in her bed, and then she'd thrown up on the way to our room, and then I was like, it was like 3 a.m. and she's throwing up into our bathroom, and I was just like, that's it, like we're in it now, we're a statistic, you know, this is our life. And you know, I remember cleaning her up and getting her into the bed, and you know, it was really, look, to be honest, we got off pretty lightly. You know, we only had to do about 6 months of chemo, and you don't wish cancer on any other human in the world, but you know, the type she had is highly curable. So
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
yeah, it wasn't as if we thought, you know, we were very resolute from the start. There's no doubt she's going to survive this, and our job is just to make it as gentle as possible, and our job is to make it, you know, what can we learn from this? How can we make this a beautiful thing? Where is the beauty in this? Where is the love? Where is the light in this? And there was so much of it. There was honestly so much love in that whole experience. You know, the way the family held us and the way my business held me. You know, there were these stories of people. I remember, you know, I was able to take some time off work and be at all the appointments, and coming back into the business, you know, 6 or 8 months later, very full time, and sitting there. And I was out of it, you know, I was truly not focused. And I remember sitting and having one of my first real meetings with one of my senior leaders, and I was like, "Whatever happened to you meant to go to Europe. What, did you go?" She said, "Em, the day that we heard Miller had cancer, I cancelled my trip." And I was like, "For reals?" I mean, that's really special. And there were so many stories like that, people just rallying behind the scenes. And, you know, there were these call groups of people, 3 or 4 people saying, "Okay, what do they need? What have you heard?" And just people just held us while we fell apart and tried to deal with it. So it was a special time. But
I want to read a little part from your
Yeah.
book. And it is the little bit that you write on cancer. I'm going to get emotional. I'm sorry.
I apologise.
Whew. This makes me cry, and I've read it a couple of times, so I wouldn't fucking cry. Now I'm crying. Treatment was confronting and overwhelming. Miller went through 2 rounds of chemotherapy. Navigating all that went with that left our family paralysed at times. I can tell you how many times I lay in bed next to Miller with tears streaming down my face. I wasn't sobbing or making a sound, but the tears just wouldn't stop. I was wishing with all my heart that this was me going through it and not her. So full on. Having my own boys, I don't know what I would do, you know. And after reading that, and then reading more of your book, and how you said you love your kids to be free range, and it doesn't matter if the floor's messy, and you know, if their beds aren't made. And last night I was talking to my partner Sam, and I said, how do we get more of that without having to go through our kids being sick, you know, like to have to go through that to go, nothing matters. It's so hard to do that when you haven't been through something like that. Like reading this last night, and I spent the whole day yesterday yelling at my boys, and I thought, oh my God, like what are we doing? Nothing matters. And the fight I had with my son because he wouldn't go to the toilet before bed. Wow, you know, and Sam and I were talking, he said, I don't know, because we know not to sweat the small stuff, but unless you've been through something so traumatic, it's very hard to get there day after day to not sweat it.
It is hard. It's really hard. I mean, we were really kind of chilled people even before that happened, and we're even more so
You would be
chilled now.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that we don't, of course we scream at the kids, go to the toilet, and we don't have it all sorted at all. I mean, our kids fight all the time. It's not like we have this beautiful kind of pious environment where there's this love, and it's not like that at all, you know. I don't know. I mean, there's no advice I can give to that, and you know, everyone has got their own journey to go through. And I mean, I feel a deep sense of gratitude that was our story, and that we were able to emerge from it so powerfully.
Yeah.
And it has had an impact in a lot of different things. It's had an impact on how I want to show up in the world and what I want to do for others. And, you know, it's had an impact on the whole family. Look, it's not as if it's an entirely good news story. I mean, our story had a really happy ending, and Miller is the most, she's very resilient and she's very independent, but she's got a lot of healing to do from it, you know, and it's only just kind of starting to come out now. That she's able to express herself, and there's a lot of anger over, you know, having to go through what she went through at that age. It was a very 4 and 5 when she went through it. It's a very developmentally challenging time. So it's when boys and girls, you know, you're meant to wear pink and I'm meant to wear blue, all that bullshit. And she'd go to the park and because all her hair fell out and she was bald there for a long time, and the kids would tease her, and when she started at school, you know, why are you a boy wearing a dress? And, you know, so almost that sort of stuff was more challenging to deal with than the actual, the health stuff or everything that was wrapped around it. So we have to work hard on that with her, and she's very sensitive, I think, to other people. She's very compassionate with other people. And I don't know, you got to see the gift in it somehow. It's definitely been a gift for us.
At one point in the hospital, you overheard her going up to one of the other patients and saying, "Should we fly away?"
That broke my heart. It was so sweet.
Oh my God.
No, it was just this moment of just, can we get out of here? Like, we don't belong here. Let's just fly away together. And yeah, that breaks your heart.